Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another installment of the Hokage Legacy, which is a series on this channel where we take an in-depth look at the legacy of the 7 Hokage, but we do so in a way that's different than your run-of-the-mill dissection video. Since we've already covered the first and second Hokage, it's only right that we jump into the most controversial of all the Hokages, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Now, most Naruto fans remember Hiruzen as the nice old grandpa leader of the village who gave speeches to students at the academy, shared words of wisdom to young Naruto. The fact is that yes, there are two sides to Hiruzen Sarutobi, and a look at his legacy reveals he's more of a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde type of a character than a lot of fans realize. Sure, there's the nice grandpa Hiruzen, but there's also the aggressive Hiruzen whose show of force forever shaped the world of Naruto for generations to come. Originally, Hiruzen Sarutobi became the 3rd Hokage during the first Great Ninja War when Tobirama Senju gave his life to ensure that Hiruzen could lead their team to safety away from the battlefield, in a war that saw the death of all of the 2 first-generation Kages in all 5 villages. It would be Hiruzen Sarutobi who would be one of the Kages who would broker peace that will last for nearly 20 years, which we do know is the case from the first Naruto fan book. These early years under Hiruzen Sarutobi would see him leading a village that would give birth to quite a few of powerful ninja in Konoha history. Fugaku Uchiha, the future leader of the Uchiha clan, who was strong enough to control the Nine Tails, would be born a year before Hiruzen Sarutobi became the sensei for the legendary sannin, Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Jiraiya. In a few years after that, Hiyashi Hyuga, one of the most powerful Hyuga clan members ever, would be born, and almost 10 years later, Minato Namikaze, the future 4th Hokage, would be born as well. Quietly during this time of peace, Hiruzen Sarutobi would display his Dr. Jekyll side of his personality, being the very friendly and nurturing person that we were introduced to at the very beginning of Naruto. However, it will be during the 20 years of peace that the Dr. Jekyll part of Hiruzen, which groomed all these young shinobi in his village, would give way to the Mr. Hyde portion of his Hokage legacy. Military expansion, according to the first and second Naruto fan book, would play a major role in the second Great Ninja War popping off, which Konoha was stated to have actually started. Military expansion is just a nice way of calling it imperialism. Young ninja that Hiruzen Sarutobi would groom as Hokage, like the White Fang and the legendary Sannin trio, would rise to fame during this time. The 3rd Great Ninja War would start shortly after the end of the 2nd Great Ninja War, with Konoha once again being at the center of chaos, with Hiruzen Sarutobi overseeing Leaf Shinobi fighting off the Stone Ninja from invading the Land of Fire, and with manpower being so low, Hiruzen basically had to say fuck them kids and send fresh academy graduates out onto the battlefield, which according to Naruto fanbook number 2 saw thousands of younglings die. A man that many viewed as being a kind old man built a culture of Konoha first by any means necessary, which led to the White Fang eventually killing himself after being thrown under a bus and shamed for choosing the lives of his comrades over his village. A man many people viewed as being the sweet grandpa Kage would see a former orphan in the form of Nagato actually form the very first version of the Akatsuki in the aftermath of the 2nd Great Ninja War that Hiruzen started, and the Akatsuki, as we know, would eventually evolve into a terrorist organization. However, just like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the 2 personalities that can flip on a whim. As such, this was the case with Hiruzen Sarutobi. Despite being at the center of 2 wars starting, which expanded to nations like the Hidden Cloud Village entering into the fray when it came to the 3rd Great Ninja War, Hiruzen's choice not to seek reparations from the Hidden Stone Village would cause a huge uproar in the Hidden Leaf Village that would eventually force Hiruzen Sarutobi to step down as Hokage. However, it would be after the death of Minato that the Mr. Hyde side of Hiruzen Sarutobi would continue to be suppressed, and it would give the Hidden Cloud Village enough confidence that they would attempt to kidnap Hinata under the guise of a treaty, which would be their 2nd attempt at kidnapping a Konoha asset under Hiruzen Sarutobi's watch as Hokage, with the very first time being when the Hidden Cloud Village attempted to kidnap the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, which at the time was Kushina Uzumaki. Now, perhaps this was Hiruzen Sarutobi taking the loss of a young Kage like Minato who had a bright future as Hokage, taking it very very hard, but Hiruzen would continue to suppress his more aggressive side of his nature in the time after Minato's death. It would be because of this that his own advisors would push the Uchiha clan into a corner, isolating them and stripping their clan leader of any recognition that he earned during the Ninja Wars, and allowing them to be scapegoated for the Kyuubi attack that saw the death of the 4th Hokage, while also keeping Fugaku away from the battlefield because they were aware of the fact that Fugaku could control the Nine Tails. Though Danzo was emboldened to act on his own under the guise of putting Konoha first, much in the same way that Hiruzen was a Konoha first Hokage at the first portion of his Hokage run, even Danzo knew that Hiruzen Sarutobi had a different side to him, as he warned Itachi in the Itachi Midnight novel that if Hiruzen was forced to choose between Konoha and massacring the Uchiha clan, Hiruzen would not hesitate. Like I've covered in another video, Hiruzen and Danzo had a backup plan just in case peace talks between the Uchiha clan and the Hidden Leaf Village didn't actually work out, which in those backup plans had Danzo and Hiruzen leading a group of Anbu to attack the Uchiha clan at the midnight hour before the Uchiha clan coup d'etat was to begin. Danzo was aware that Hiruzen still had a darkness to him, and that the kind old man act that he put on was simply one part of Hiruzen's personality. It could be argued that Hiruzen only allowed Danzo to run wild because Hiruzen himself knew that he was struggling with maintaining the light and darkness that a Hokage must bear, which, if we're being honest, is something that Hiruzen Sarutobi even admitted himself when speaking to Sasuke after being reanimated. Still, the people that knew Hiruzen Sarutobi well and knew that he had a different side to him, they took advantage of the fact that he was suppressing the Mr. Hyde portion of his personality and openly embracing all the Dr. Jekyll portion of his personality. We see it in the form that Orochimaru began to kidnap young boys, touching them just like a ninja priest would do and experimenting on them and cutting them up, all under Hiruzen Sarutobi's nose. Danzo would move from boxing in the Uchiha to working to undermine Hiruzen at each and every turn, even going so far as to be the very reason that Naruto's childhood was ruined, because as revealed in the Itachi Midnight novel, Danzo will be the one who leaked out to the villagers that Naruto was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, which I've covered in a whole nother video that you should check out. Now, to Hiruzen's credit, in the aftermath of the Uchiha massacre, something Danzo did against Hiruzen's wishes, since Hiruzen openly stated that he wanted to talk one last time with the Uchiha clan before choosing a path of carnage. Hiruzen disbanded Root immediately and reduced Danzo's role in the village, but Danzo still worked in the shadows nonetheless. A man who had mistakenly allowed the wrong person to shoulder the darkness that he himself could not carry without giving in to the Mr. Hyde portion of his nature would continue to struggle finding balance as the years went on. Much as Naruto continues to struggle with being both a Hokage and being a father, Hiruzen would see his oldest son Asuma leave the village for a short period in time. While it was a blow, the hardest blow was learning that his student, someone that he considered to be a son, was behind the disappearances of the young shinobi and was the one cutting them up for the sake of experiments, something that the man that Hiruzen actually chose to carry his darkness, Danzo himself, knew about, and Danzo turned a blind eye to and never alerted Hiruzen to what Orochimaru was doing. Hiruzen Sarutobi, a man stated to be the strongest of all the Hokage who came before him and a master of all the hidden jutsu of all of Konoha's clans, couldn't strike down Orochimaru because he still viewed him as a child, a mistake that would ultimately lead to Orochimaru destroying a chunk of the Hidden Leaf Village and ultimately killing Hiruzen Sarutobi. The third Hokage himself implied when he was in Edo Tensei that his failure to find balance between both of his natures, the Dr. Jekyll side and the Mr. Hyde side, ultimately was his biggest failure and a result in so many things that occurred. The Akatsuki was born and eventually evolved into a terrorist organization. One of Konoha's four noble clans, the Uchiha clan, was massacred. Orochimaru conducted human experiments and would go on to be a catalyst for so many events that happened in the Naruto series. And Danzo would become a walking meme when it came to ruining everything that he touched. Just as Dr. Jekyll struggled with his dual nature, ultimately killing himself, Hiruzen struggled with both of these aspects of the Hokage role. the light side and the dark side, and it would be in a form of suicide when he chose to use the Reaper Death Seal in order to stop Orochimaru. And even when the Mr. Hyde portion of his nature had the impulse to kill Orochimaru, his Dr. Jekyll side couldn't push away the love that he felt for his former student, which is so beautiful when you think about it, because a man who struggled with both sides of his personality, both sides of his Hokage role, Hiruzen died, sacrificing himself in a suicidal manner for the Hidden Leaf Village, while also doing so while being heavily conflicted. In short, the legacy of the third Hokage is that this is a man who has dual natures, one light and one dark. On one hand, he groomed some of the most powerful shinobi in Konoha history, several generations when you actually look at it. On the other hand, his failure to be a leader who could handle the darkness would ultimately unleash upon the ninja world several problems because of his choices. Personally, while I don't care for Hiruzen as a Hokage, even I can say he's a perfectly flawed character. On the surface, he seems just like the perfect Hokage, but his failures and his suspect decisions make him somebody that's ultimately very human. In fact, arguably the most human character in the Naruto franchise. Just as we don't always make the right decision or trust the right people or know when to cut people off, so too was this the case with Hiruzen Sarutobi. However, that's gonna be it for this latest installment of the Hokage Legacy. Up next, we're gonna talk about the legacy of the fourth Hokage. Let me know what you guys most remember Hiruzen Sarutobi for down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.